Welcome everyone to our board meeting. I call the meeting to order and I would ask the clerk to call the roll.
Commissioner Murphy.
Here.
Commissioner Bailey.
Here.
Commissioner Bunting.
Here.
Commissioner Lambert.
Here.
Commissioner Smith.
Gotta turn your sound down, Sam.
How about now? Here.
Yeah, there you go. Okay, very good. Would you all please stand for the invocation and the pledge, please? Bow your heads. Most gracious Heavenly Father, we just thank you for this day that you've given to us and the blessings in it. We just praise and thank you for all things. We ask, Father, that for continued prayers for our servicemen and women overseas and at home. And Father, for our first responders who go out every day to protect us, we ask special blessing upon them. We ask all these things in your precious name. Amen.
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 I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Born and unborn.
Completed. Thank you. Before we get into our agenda for tonight, the undersheriff called me this afternoon and asked that if he and a few of his officers can come over tonight and address the commissioners. So, Steve.
Thank you. I just wanted to let you guys know how appreciative the men and women of the Gratiot County Sheriff's Office have been for your work in approving the hazard pay for the COVID-19 that came through. It's been overwhelming how many of the officers have came to me and thanked me for what role I played in it. And I said, the people you need to thank are the commissioners. You guys are the ones that actually took the step to approve that so that we could submit the paperwork to get the funding and provide it to our officers. So I wanted to have a group of not only our correction staff, but our road patrol staff come over here and have the opportunity to personally thank you as the board for what you guys do each and every day. We appreciate it. And I wanted you guys to know our heartfelt thanks. Thank you very
We
much.
also appreciate you. So it's reciprocal. Is Chris on the line? This is the guy you need to thank. He's coming up here in a minute, I hope. Yo, Chris.
Not letting me start a video for some reason.
Chris did? You don't want to be recognized. Give him a minute. Chris.
Video's not coming up for me. Sorry, I'm not sure why.
Okay, well, you're there. That's good. As long as you're there. Gentlemen, the fellow that's on the line there, Chris, is the guy that did it for you. Obviously, we said yes, but he did all the work. Without him, you wouldn't be getting what you got. So if you really want to thank somebody, I mean, we did it. We said okay, but he did all the work. I just wanted to recognize his efforts in all this also. So that's basically.
Thank you very much. This is Under Sheriff. Thank you very much.
Yeah, good.
Thank all of you for your service, and we appreciate you here in Gratiot County.
Yeah, we sure do.
We know that. So thank you. And we'll let you get back to your.
Gentlemen,
Let's get back to you.
this time has been trying on us all, but and we just appreciate your patience.
All right, perfect.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, we're gonna have some things we have to change around on our agenda tonight to make things a little bit smoother. And so, is there any additions or deletions to our agenda? Anything from the board members? If not, I've got Angie and I've got quite a few things we need to switch around to make it to run a little smoother. So, Angie?
So we have a resolution to set the annual budget meeting and public hearing. If we can put that at K5 and move our closed session after the finance meeting, should be the very last thing on the agenda.
Okay. Is there anything else? I'll take a motion.
So moved for the amended agenda.
Or
Who didn't support it? Any other discussion? Ask the clerk to call the roll. There's gonna be a lot of them tonight, Angie. We got a lot of members out of the building. So.
Hello. I can't talk right now. I'm on a Zoom on a meeting. Can I call you back? Bye.
Shannon's talking to somebody.
I'm sorry. I've
That's okay.
got a long overseas call coming in.
Commissioner Murphy,
Yes.
Commissioner Smith,
yes.
Commissioner Lambert,
Yes.
Commissioner Bunting,
Yes,
Commissioner Bailey.
Yes. Okay, thank you. Brief public comments. Matt, you got anybody lined up?
I do not see anybody from the public on the line right now.
Okay. All right, we'll move on. Consideration of consent calendar, board minutes, communications, and recommendations from committees. Motion to approve,
So moved.
Or
who supported? Who supported that?
Tim.
Tim? Okay. All in favor signify by saying aye.
aye.
Oh, sorry. Sorry, Angie.
Commissioner Smith,
Yes.
Commissioner Bunting,
Yes,
Commissioner Lambert,
Yes.
Commissioner Murphy,
Yes.
Commissioner Bailey.
Yes, thank you, Angie. Okay, next is the administrator's report. Tracy?
Hello, yes, hello, everyone. Once again, I want to thank you all for your willingness to convene in the special meeting last Thursday evening for the letter of credit exchange. The remaining activities on that exchange bled into Monday, but it has now been completed. I received the new letter of credit issued by PNC this afternoon, so case closed. Keeping track of the original is critically important. We must produce that either when there is the next exchange or if we want to make a claim against it. So this is a financial document, so I plan to have it kept in the treasurer's office. And Angie, would you be so kind as to make a note of that in the meeting minutes for tonight? Since our last meeting, we've completed our negotiations with one of our unions, GELC. We'll be discussing all of this at greater length in closed session this evening. We've also been preparing for our negotiations with TPOAM that are scheduled for next Wednesday, August 26th. Again, additional discussion in a few minutes. We have received a flurry of requests for records under the Freedom of Information Act, or FOIA. The primary election served as a trigger for some of these, as well as the upcoming general election. The campaigns and public watchdog groups have requested things like activity logs, ballot image files, reports related to tabulation and materials of this sort. They are managing to add to the workload of our county clerk, which, you know, she's really not had much to do lately, so she's appreciated this. So of these, either our machines don't produce the reports that are being sought, or the record, if it exists, is held by a township and not by the county. So we've had to go through those one by one. They've taken a fair amount of time. We've also received a FOIA request that seeks information about voting processes, but because they are not documents, they are processes. These have not required a response, or at least a gathering of documents. Just as I've been sitting here in the last half an hour, I've received 2 additional FOIA requests, and there have been requests on a variety of other things as well. So apparently August is FOIA month. If I'm doing my job correctly, you folks aren't even aware of this or don't notice this, but these can keep me quite busy. So just so you know what your administrator and how she's spending her time. Chris, Tony, Kaylin, and I have been meeting to finalize the capital improvements plan. There are some critical and expensive needs over the next couple of years, but we're planning and we feel confident that we'll be able to pull those off. This plan is in your packet, and I'll welcome any questions that you have about it during our broader budget discussion during the Financial Committee meeting. So that is all I have for now for the citizens of Gratiot County. And of course, now that we are recording and broadcasting on YouTube, I assume you have a national audience. So that is it for the citizens of Gratiot County, but also our devoted viewers on the West Coast. And that is all I have.
Oh,
Okay, thank you. Commissioners, committee reports. Chuck?
All I really have is Seville is going to be meeting virtually with the Eagle the 9th prior to their meeting.
Okay.
So that's all I have.
Okay. Tim?
We had a meeting of the ad hoc airport, for lack of a better word, I guess, advisory committee, the committee that consists of users, Greater Gratiot Development, some of the existing stakeholders in the airport authority about, how to transition, to a different form of oversight for the airport. And it was very productive. We had some users from the airport, who offered a lot of insight into their take on how things were being run in the past and how things could be run better. Got into a little kind of history, again, to just remind everybody, the airport authority as constructed, served the purpose as the study that we commissioned found, served the purpose, that was kind of intended for, from the standpoint is that it kept the airport going financially. But one of the problems with it as it was constructed is it really wasn't a typical oversight board like our other county boards. It wasn't really made up of a variety of stakeholders, as like you normally assume a board would have, like our other boards. It really was just the municipalities who were willing to kick in money to keep the thing going. And moving forward, one of the immediate questions is, what type of structure would this new board have? Because again, the members of the existing authority really don't want to be on the authority, and it's pretty clear that that's not the best board to oversee the airport, because of just their lack of experience with it and so on and so forth. So I had a good meeting, and we have got another meeting coming up here in a couple of weeks. We also got some information. In fact, I just got it today about how the original airport board was structured, just to kind of give us some ideas, kind of pre-airport authority. And so, we're going to keep plugging along, and the airport authority again had basically requested that this kind of subcommittee be formed and then present to the Board of Commissioners, to us, kind of what they think the plan is going forward. And the general consensus is clearly that, there's a desire to have the county, play a larger role. And, as many of us have expressed in meetings, there's strong support for continuing, the airport and, hopefully making it better. So.
Right, thank you. Sam?
Well, I haven't been in any meetings. I've been out at Sturgis riding my motorcycle the last 7-8 days. We're just still in South Dakota. Headed south. I could give you a little update on Antifa. They were run out of town twice, is my understanding. Once by the Hells Angels and the Mexican cartel or something, I guess, before we got here. And then the police run them out about a week ago, 3 days ago, I guess it was. Run them out of town. So other than that, it's been pretty quiet out at Sturgis. Been great riding.
Okay, good. Jan?
Oh, I wish I was there. That would have been fun. I went to a meeting at Bethany Township. I had a lot of meetings. They were short meetings. I did also correction out here in my community. I used to go to the meeting every time they had one, but since I've had a job other places, it was hard to go to it. So I've been sitting in on those meetings. They just kind of do an update of what's going on at the prison, and then also like the sheriff or whoever wants to talk and give an update, they can do that. I didn't have much to say because there's not much going on with me. And I also attend the child advocacy meeting. I'd like to know what's going on there. One of the things that they're going to be doing, and I called, I've got to get back with them, is that they're going to be putting, I think it's 30 flags up in different areas to rep. And I got to tell you, it slipped my mind what it's going to represent. But anyway, I'll get back with you. I'm thinking that there's different places in Gratiot County where they want to put them up. And God, I'm telling you, I must have dementia. I just can't remember right offhand what it was for, but I will get back with you and let you know.
Yeah, very good. I attended a couple of township meetings. Well, one township meeting, Lafayette, and I attended the Village of Ashley meeting. They had a lot of questions on blight and on some zoning, and we're going to help them with that. Other than that, it was a very productive meeting with them. I was supposed to have a Commission on Aging meeting, would have been virtual, but Tuesday I also was in union negotiations, so I couldn't make that meeting. Alrighty. Consideration of new business. We have Keegan, our equalization director, on the line. Keegan, are you there?
Yep, I'm here.
All right.
How's it going?
I'm doing good. How are you?
Good.
All right.
All right. So first thing that I've got is the winner L4029. That's basically just the millage rates to be approved, and looks like everything is the exact same as last year except for the parks. They voted to renew their millage, so that's going to be at a 0.3500, and last year it was a 0.3493.
Righty. So let me bring that up. Got it. All right. You kind of went ahead on me there.
Sorry.
Okay. Very good. So you're at 0.35. Is that what the millage rate is?
Yep, that's what it ends up being.
All right, for the parks. And everything else remains the same?
Yep.
Nothing's changed. Okay, we need to approve this commission. So if there isn't any other questions for Keegan, I'd ask for a motion to approve.
So moved.
Or,
Is that Sam?
Sam, yes.
yes, yeah.
I'm supported. Is there any discussion? Hearing no discussion, I'd ask the clerk to call the roll.
Commissioner Lambert,
Yes.
Commissioner Murphy,
Yes.
Commissioner Smith,
Yes,
Commissioner Bunting,
Yes,
Commissioner Bailey.
Yes. Okay, Keegan, next.
All right, so next thing I have is just a brief update on the equalization department. So I'm just gonna kind of read through what I presented here, and if at any time you have any questions or anything, feel free to stop me. So I'll start off with the field work that we're doing for the 2020 to 2021 appraisal studies. So we've completed 293 out of the 444 agricultural parcels that we're doing. We are all finished with our residential parcels. We're all finished with our commercial parcels, and we're all finished with our industrial parcels. The commercial industrial, we contracted those out, and they are all finished with their field work. And they're just in the process of valuing out those parcels. So we're in pretty good shape there.
Okay. Keegan, when do you anticipate finishing up the agricultural parcels?
I'm hoping early September.
Okay, you're doing real well then.
Yeah, yep, we're making pretty good time.
Good, good.
And then, so what we're also working on is our land values and economic condition factors. So we're still working on completing our analysis for that. Where we're at right now is we're going out and verifying sales that we use in this analysis.
Mhm.
And once we have them all verified, we basically just put them all together in a spreadsheet and look at our final number and go from there.
Well, it looks like we're doing pretty healthy there in the equalization department. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, yep. I think things are going very well this year. And
Good.
started doing a little education sessions on equalization each week. So far, some of the things we've done are the sales studies. We've done appraisal studies. We've worked on sketching, and a couple topics that we're doing in the future are field work, customer service, database management, transfers of ownership, land value, and the ECF analysis, and the overall equalization cycle.
Good.
What we're kind of using for that is the Equalization Directors Association. They just came out with a pretty big handbook for equalization directors to use for throughout the year for their cycle. And so that's what we're kind of getting all the material from. So it's a pretty good document that we're using for that. So pretty excited about that. Staff. So what we're currently working on, Diane says just finished entering in the July board review petitions from all the local townships. And now she is currently working with the local townships to get their L4029s, what we had for the county just approved, get those all finished and turning in. And she's also reviewing the new millages that were put in and the millages that are going to be on this year's winter tax roll. And then Tracy is working on billing the local townships for the wind turbine agreement. And she's also doing her day-to-day deed entry and data requests from the public. I'm currently working on field work, the land values, the economic condition factors, the sales studies, our personal property record review, and appraisal valuations. So, and yeah, so basically we're doing pretty well. We're on a good track to have everything finished up ahead of time. So we should have plenty of time for review with the state and make sure everybody's happy there. Yep, it's kind of been a hectic year, but we're looking pretty good.
Good. Okay, do we have any questions for Keegan?
Keegan, how long before we'll have to go and not hire these other folks to do this? I mean, will we get our office in shape or will we be doing that ourselves?
My goal is next year to do it all in-house. It'll be quite a bit of work, but I think with us doing the education sessions and everything like that, I think we should be able to do it all next year. That's my goal, at least.
Great.
Egan, that's not a promise, right? It's just a goal, correct?
That's a goal, not a promise. But I really think we can do it. But like I said, yeah, it's a goal.
I'm keeping you out of trouble there a little bit, so.
Thank you.
All right.
I probably wouldn't remember that.
Funny what people remember, so I'm still looking out for him.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, very good. Any other questions for Keegan? Okay, buddy. Good job.
All right. Well, thank you. I really appreciate it.
Keep up the good work. Yep, very good.
Thanks. See ya.
All right. Next, we have Jennifer Wood. Is she going to appear tonight? Or she is? She always
Here I
surprises
am.
me.
Good afternoon. I'm here, as I had indicated, I put in your packet. Some of you may or may not know that Laura Beaver exited her position as the attorney referee deputy friend of the court the day before I think we were closed to the public. So as you can imagine, I've been posting this position on and off since then with not a lot of positive results. So I have a new proposal and that's what I've included in your packet today. I'm looking to enter into a contract with Ryan Pallarito to serve in a contractual manner to provide the referee services. The contract is between 20 and 30 hours a week. We're hoping to have, and it would begin August 24th and run through September 30th of 21. We thought that was a good alternative. Other than that, I think I would have had to come and try to reclassify or ask for more money for the referee position. I just wasn't having any luck bringing anybody in during this time for that position. So what I'm proposing is to take the other part of that position, which was administrative, to assist me as the friend of the court, and turn that into reclassifications on 4 positions. And I'm going to divide those administrative duties between current staff and upgrade their positions in conjunction with that. Overall, there's a savings to the county, but I did want to point out, I don't want to be misleading. I did indicate that it's approximately 27,000, but with that, these are federally funded positions. So there'll also be a decrease in revenue, but overall, it will definitely save the county money. It just isn't a straight up savings of 27,000, because when you decrease the expenditures, then the revenue decreases as well.
Correct. So this, actually, you are creating a new position then? Is that?
Well, I'm taking an old position and making it contractual for the referee portion of it.
Okay, okay.
So it's not really a new position. It's just a reclassification of 4 current positions, and then a contract with a new attorney to provide the referee services.
All right, very good. Now, is this informational, or do you require board action?
I do require board action. I need you guys to approve the contract, and then I need you to approve the 4 changes in the 4 grades to the positions, I believe. I've listed the request, the specific request at the bottom of my memo.
Okay. Very good. Okay. So I assume we're gonna have to ask, go back to this silly thing, drive me nuts. Hold on, bear with me, I just gotta hit the right line. Okay. All right, so.
You need a motion on
Yeah,
the
we need,
request?
we needed a motion to approve her request to change the position to a contractual position. And also, there's some changes within that contract, correct?
No, I think you've got 2 issues, and Jennifer, you can
Right.
correct me.
Oh.
You have the approval of a contract, and
Yeah.
then you have action on the other positions.
Approval on
which is-
reclassifications.
All right, so we have two issues, approval of the contract, and then we have the other issue.
Yes.
Okay, so we have to do that first.
And I am asking that the contract begin August 24th, but that the reclassifications don't begin until October 1st with the new fiscal year.
Okay. Okay,
Can I ask a question real quick?
certainly.
Okay, I want to make sure I have this right. So Jennifer, you couldn't find anybody to take that position. So you're dividing the work up in between 4 people, right?
The administrative part, Laura used to be the deputy friend of the court as well as the referee. And so we won't have the attorney doing any of the administrative portion of the position anymore. That will be divided between the 4 people that I have listed.
Okay. And how much do you think we'll save?
I think, I mean, it's a savings of almost 27,000 when you figure that the fringe benefits won't be needed for the contractual position. But again, the revenue will also decrease because most of these positions are federally funded, partially federally funded. So I would do a rough estimate of at least $10,000, $12,000, depending on how many hours, we actually get from the referee. And there's a lot of variables that go into it, but at least a $10,000 savings.
10 to 12,000.
That would be my guess. Yep.
Okay.
Okay.
I have a quick question. So this was a full-time position that one person handled all this. And so now we're dividing it up, the workload really between 5 people. We're contracting 1 person. We ever go back to wanting this back to a 1-person job? How do we make sure that we know those people are reclassified back down? I mean, 5 years down the road, all of a sudden they say, well, we need a full-time referee and this is what's going to cost us. And now those 4 positions have gotten a bump in for running the operation. I mean, how do we tie that to say, we change this back, these 4 positions, whoever that is, would come back and lose some money?
Yeah, I mean, I I probably wouldn't ever ask to declassify people or go backwards. I mean, I guess I would think that if I came back and wanted the position full-time again, then I would have to request that of you guys and figure out how I would pay for the difference, because the money won't be there anymore. So that would be, I mean, I rarely would, unless the referee position became big enough that it could be a full-time position for just the referee position. I wouldn't think I would ever go backwards and try to take administrative duties away from people that are currently working here, unless they vacated the position where you reclassified it that way. But the only way I would look to have the referee position made full-time again would be if the just the referee duties had enough work to keep that a full-time position. And then I would have to come to the board with a way to pay for that.
I guess I'm just looking, maybe you retire and I don't run again, and 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 people don't
Yeah,
think
I mean,
about
I don't really think you can try to look down the road 5 years or what,
Okay.
about how you're going to go backwards. I think you always kind of have to go forward, and you have to justify your position. Anytime I would need to get a full-time position, I would have to come to the board and be able to justify that. And I think I've done, that over the years, and come up with ways to pay for things when I think there needs to be changes. We do have 2 new circuit judges coming in January. And so we just don't, I mean, things change and there may be needs in the future, but I just think that, we don't pay a large sum to keep a referee for very long. And I think that we're better invested in people in the front of the court office to do these administrative duties and to be there consistently to assist me, because they will be there for a long time and they can learn and they can do what I need them to do. Whereas a referee position, unless you can pay, close to 100,000, you're not going to keep somebody in that position normally. It's going to be a year or 2. And so having them be the deputy front of the court is challenging for me, because it takes a year or 2 to learn the front of the court duties. So by the time they learn it, they're going to move on to something else. I just think it's a better investment in the current staff that I know will probably stick around for a while.
Okay.
Another thing too, Jennifer,
Yes.
you mentioned that it's federal, some of it's federal funded. Do you
Right.
see that going away?
No, this is Title 4D. It's child support money. It's there and it's staying. It's not going anywhere.
Okay.
And to kind of follow up on Sam's question, so essentially what you're really doing with this is you're eliminating this deputy position, right?
Right.
And so I'm guessing that we shouldn't, because I know where Sam's going with this, if we just want to keep our eye on the bottom line. But really, in order for that work to go away would really be to have to recreate this deputy position, which you're saying, we're just not going to get a deputy and a part-time referee combination in the future,
Right. I don't anticipate that. The only thing that might in the future happen is if our caseload increased, then we may have to come back and ask for a full-time referee, but I don't anticipate it ever encompassing the deputy piece, the deputy administrator piece of it. I honestly don't anticipate asking for a full-time referee, but I can't say that definitively. I mean, that especially with 2 new judges coming in, I just don't know. But I do know that if I did come back, it would be for a full-time referee without the administrative duties, because I've already assigned and trained these people that I'm trying to reclassify in order to do that, because I think that they will stick with us for a long time and be strong candidates to do the work that needs to be done in that office for a long time to come.
So you really look at this as a new way for us to be doing business down the road. If this Mr. Pellegrino decides to leave, we just would look for another part-time person to do that.
Exactly. Yeah, I think you can. You have a better chance of being able to fill a contractual position that provides referee services, because that's a completely different role than the deputy administrator position, frankly.
If I could add, Jennifer, a benefit also to a contract is an attorney like Mr. Pellerito could continue to take cases in his practice, correct?
Yes, there are
So-
certain cases he'll not be able to take, but yes, he will
Sure.
continue to have a private practice.
So he'll be conflicted out of certain cases, but he could continue to take other cases, thus supplementing his income. And that's going to make this pretty attractive to some attorneys, whereas a full-time position with its duties might be less so, or would require a salary and benefits package that would be significantly above. So I just want to add that component so you understand what the incentive might be for an attorney to agree to such a contract. And it really is a win-win.
Thank you, Tracy. That's true. I mean, that really is the issue, is we've had several attorneys who have applied for the position who are currently practicing, but in order to get them to completely close up their practice, they're wanting more money than we have available for the position. And that's what I was running into.
Okay,
All right, I move that we, you want two motions on this?
yes, please. Go ahead.
I move that we split this position into 5 positions and raising these level of pay for these other 4 people in the court system, and then hiring a part-time referee.
Well said. Do we have a support?
Support.
Moved and supported. Is there any other discussion? Ask the clerk to call the roll.
Commissioner,
Yes.
Commissioner Smith,
Yes.
Commissioner Bunting,
Yes.
Commissioner Lambert,
Yes.
Commissioner Bailey.
Yes. Okay. I think Sam said it all in one motion.
Thank you very much. I appreciate your support.
All right, very good. Thank
Thanks.
you.
Thank you.
Did we make the motion on Mr. Pellegrino's contract? Do we have to do that?
No, you just did.
You did.
You
Oh,
did it.
I just thought we split it up and we're gonna
Oh,
contract that part out.
You said it so good, you split it all up right with what you just motioned.
Tied it back
Split
together.
it up. There you go, okay.
You did a good job.
Must be the sun.
Did you sleep in a Holiday Inn Express last night, Sam?
Yeah, just to my boss.
Was it parked in a Holiday Express?
Yeah.
Well, we gotta keep this fun thing moving along. Veterans Affairs. We've come to a point where we have to now.
If I
get
may,
this
I could help with this, George.
contract. Yeah, it's very confusing to me, so Tracy
Yeah.
offered to explain it.
But the bottom line on this is that Rodolfo is looking for the board to approve George having signature authority for this grant. This is the funding mechanism that was created about a year ago. This is the next year of funding. Rodolfo got this thing on the agenda, wasn't able to provide you the documents until yesterday, and that's simply the timing of when he got the documents and then the due date, which is September 1st. So he can't really get to you during the day before your next meeting. So that's the rather odd order of this thing proceeding. So bottom line is, if you would approve signature authority for George on this grant application and process, then we can keep things moving. And again, these are this is a grant and a funding mechanism that has been discussed with you in the past.
Right. This is really just the next year's version. This is the continuation. In fact, I remember, we had talked about it, and I think Sam had brought up, well, do we know if this thing is going to come through? And that was before, the state kind of budget crisis that they're in. So when I saw this come through, I was like, yippee, that this money's still going to be there. It's $50,000 is a chunk of change. So.
This also is critical to Rodolfo's ongoing efforts to reorganize and increase the skill level and qualifications of people in his office, which is an increase in service levels and a reduction in wait times. So this is a huge component of the funding for that reorganization.
I I move we authorize the chair to sign the grant agreement.
Support.
Moved and supported. Is there any other discussion? Ask the clerk to call the roll.
Commissioner Bunting,
Yes.
Commissioner Lambert,
Yes.
Commissioner Smith,
Yes.
Commissioner Murphy,
Yes.
Commissioner Bailey.
Yes. Okay. We gotta skip union contract. Go over to. We're gonna go, I think we go to the finance committee.
Don't we have Greater Gratiot Development?
All right, thank you, Chuck. I just saw it and then I forgot about, I got it right in front of me, matter of fact. We've got Greater Gratiot needs to have reappointments. We've had in the past, Tracy Cordes, County Administrator, and Chuck Murphy, County Commissioner. And I would recommend that we continue with that. So we need to reappoint them.
I move we reappoint Commissioner Murphy and Administrator Cordes to the Greater Gratiot Board.
Support.
Supported. Is there any discussion? Once again, Angie, when you're ready.
Commissioner Lambert,
Yes.
Commissioner Murphy,
Yes.
Commissioner Smith,
Yes.
Commissioner Bunting,
Yes.
Commissioner Bailey.
Yes. Now we're ready. I think we can move on to the finance committee meeting. Because we're going to come back and do the closed session after we come back. So a motion to go into the finance committee meeting.
So moved.
Support.
Discussion. Yes, clerk, call the roll.
Commissioner Murphy,
Yes.
Commissioner Smith,
Yes.
Commissioner Bunting,
Yes.
Commissioner Lambert,
Yes.
Commissioner Bailey.
Yes. Okay.
Okay, I'll call the finance full board meeting to order. Before I turn it over to the financial administrator, just in the consent agenda, you saw we had the MERS June statement looking a little better. Bumped up with the markets, the markets giveth, the markets taketh away, and then they give it back. It's a matter of time, right? It's how long you want to wait. So, Chris?
Yep, we had about $29 million in our MERS statement at the end of June. I think the Dow was somewhere around 26.5 at that time, and it's up a little bit more than that currently. So where the real feel good is when we see that at $30 million. So when you see that at $30 million, you pretty much know that we're good. So we're going to start with our cash balances for the end of July. You'll see from last month, we pretty much stayed even when we typically see a decline in our cash reserves. And that's because a lot of, mostly the state is catching up on some of their payments that have been delayed due to some of their shutdowns, partial shutdowns, etc. So basically, they're filling us in with back money and we're spending it at about the same rate. We're not at the same cash reserve as we were last year. We knew that because we ran a deficit last year to help fund our OPEB, but we're still doing better than 2 years ago. So to me, it looks like a win there. If you have any questions on that, let me know, please. And if not, I would like to move on to our check disbursement reports, and you'll see provided the 2 reports for you, the disbursements over 10,000 for the high level review. And then for those that like to dig through everything that we have, you have the complete check register. So if you have anything that you have questions on, I'll give you a moment to take a look at that.
I have a question for you, Chris. Up at the top on page 3, these are all the checks, all the departments. That was over 10,000, does that mean like you got 106? Does that mean 106 of them were over 10,000?
I know, but I'm not sure where you're looking at. I don't have the same packet. I have my own individual PDFs
Okay.
that I made. So are you on the 10,000 or higher checks?
Yes.
The first page of that?
Yeah. Uh-huh.
Okay, where's this 106 that you?
I'm on the page where it says large checks by fund.
Okay,
Total for Fund 101 general fund. And then on the side here, it's got 106. Then you've got Parks and Recs, they got 91. And then capital improvement, they got 11. Do you see where I'm talking about?
I do. You have something that is cut off. Hold on one second.
do.
Let me show you. I should have a shared screen for you now. Does everybody see on their screen?
Yes, you're right.
You're seeing 106 here, but what you should
Yeah.
see is 106,886.
Oh, okay then.
So that's where our miscommunication through documentation here is having an issue.
Like drains, you got 101, 801, I'm sorry, 801 drains, 60. And I thought, wow, why would you do? Okay, I see that now. Okay.
Okay.
And then on the same page, you've got building rent. I'm assuming that's MSU,
Yes, it is.
and they pay $940 a year.
That's the account number. That account represents rent, actually. And then all the way to the right, if you look on my screen, we have $500 that was paid.
Yeah, they pay 500
for
a
that
month.
Oh, okay. So what's the amount for? What is that? The 940, what's that?
That is the accounting code.
It says account, not amount.
Oh, okay.
Yep.
Okay.
Does anyone else have any questions on either the checks over 10,000 or the check register, any of the checks in the register for Chris? Okay, Chris, does it sound like it? Anything else you want to enlighten us about before we go to the treasurer's report?
Nope, I will wait my turn. Thank you.
Okay.
Wait my time.
Hi, Michelle.
Hi. How are you guys?
Good. What you got for us?
Just the usual same reports, investments, all the deposits we've taken in the department for the month, and bank transfers. Nothing out of the ordinary.
Does anyone have any questions for Michelle?
I do. Come up here though, just a minute. Oh, one of the questions I had is, I see we have a lot of libraries from other areas like Powell Memorial Library, Thompson Home Public
It's Ithaca.
Library. That's library. That's
Oh,
Ithaca.
Gratiot County.
Okay, I didn't know that.
I think in St. Louis,
What is?
those libraries. I mean,
Yeah, but there's some here
libraries.
that, like the Maple Rapids Public Library. That's not from here.
No, but I think they share
Is it?
some of that funds down there.
It's through Fulton Township.
Yeah, that would be.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the countywide library millage. That's their share of that.
Okay. So get them from our county to go to their county? Is that what you're saying?
The southern part down in Fulton Township, part of the Maple Rapids district is in Fulton Township. That's why they
Oh.
get paid.
Yeah, it's kind of like, if you look sometimes with like this, with schools, we'll end up paying, these,
We pay
districts.
Carson City. We pay
Yeah,
Carson
like
City.
Carson City, they're not in Gratiot County, but they've got Gratiot County residents and it's prorated.
Uh-huh, I see. So you mean, like, I know if you've got kids, like Wheeler Township has kids that go to Merrill. So they get money for their schools.
Same thing for libraries.
Yeah, but I thought the libraries had to be here.
No. It's area. It's defined
So
by
the
area.
kid, so in other words, the kids in Gratiot County go to the school in Maple Rapids, is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
And
No,
so
it's the other way
they,
around. Kids in
Down at
Maple
that
Rapids
bottom
go to
end.
school. It's the other way
Yeah.
around. Kids in Maple Rapids go to Fulton.
Yeah.
And then,
okay,
then,
but so why,
then the southern part of the county, the library down there is Maple Rapids Library. We have access in Fulton Township to use Maple Rapids Library.
okay.
My wife has a library card there.
Oh, okay, that's good to know.
Yeah. I mean, we cross the county line, but that's in that district.
Right, it's the difference between, you've got the political boundaries, it's, you got townships and counties, but then you got school districts and library districts that don't necessarily follow the same lines.
Okay, I have another question too. You have Clinton County Treasurer, and it's 90,000 or 9,080. Yeah, 9,080 and 89 cents. No, I'm wrong. It is 90,000. 90,000. Nope, I'm wrong. I'm sorry. I see the period here now. Okay. No, I'm sorry. I was just wondering why we were paying them money. Clinton County Treasurer.
We share a judge with them, an administrative assistant for a judge, and we also share indigent defense position with Clinton County. And they're on Clinton County's payroll, and we reimburse Clinton County Treasurer for those amounts either every month or every 3 months.
Okay. And I think that might be all. Just a minute. I got several pages here. On page, is that her part of hers or yours? Nope. Who has after that? I think I got the treasurer's part done. I have other questions, but I think it's nope, I'm sorry, it is hers, yeah. Okay, what is your fleet car program? I don't remember that one.
Gas cards for county vehicles.
Okay, I couldn't remember. Sorry about that. And you got one here that says Gratiot County miscellaneous.
What's the amount for?
110.60, and it's 7/30 to 2020.
We typically see those when we go between Register of Deeds, and is it the treasurer's office, Michelle? Where you collect some sort of fee and you'll give the Register of Deeds, you'll cut a check to them for a certain amount.
For recordings,
Recordings.
they collect a fee for us.
Okay, so I may be thinking about it backwards. That's,
Okay, but it says Gratiot County miscellaneous. Wouldn't it come from the Register of Deeds?
it should have a department attached to it, and it does not. That's why I'm struggling to identify exactly what it is.
Okay. And then I have just another question. They're just stupid questions, but I have nothing to do all day long but read this stuff. I noticed in the front here, we have consumers all together that we pay them stuff. And then I find in here, there's lots of consumers that we pay again. Like 716, we have consumers for 179.52. Again, 727. It says U16. Oh, the other one said CON02, and this one says YOU16. Or no, wait, I'm sorry, I told you wrong. They're both CON02, Consumers Energy. I wonder, and they're real small ones. Is that for some little building or?
Well, we have many different areas that we have different consumers hookups. Each of the parks has one. Each of the buildings that we own has one. We pay consumers at the health department. Now we write one check to them or one ACH payment to them, but it has to be broke out to each individual department that owns that expense. So you'll see.
I see, okay.
$150 may go to Reed's Park, $150 may go to another park, for example. I think we get 3 different consumers bills just for the courthouse because there's that many different access points that come in, and every access point has to have its own billing code.
Okay, I see that. I have another one here too. It says DEX Media. What would that be?
That's telephone. That's telephone.
Okay, it's not for very much.
No.
And then there's another Gratiot County on here for 1252 with miscellaneous, but it's not a big thing. I mean, I just was curious why we didn't have more information. And then I have 2 more Gratiot counties in here, miscellaneous. One is for 110.60 and the other one is, oh, I'm sorry, these are a little bit bigger. 807.19 and 110.60, and they're both miscellaneous, Gratiot County.
Yep, we try and get people to use the vendor codes because that does give more specific information. And I will look these up and contact the people that entered them into payables so that in the future they will use vendor codes, because a vendor code will point it to a specific department.
Okay, and I used a ruler here to make sure I was telling you right, and I did tell you wrong. I was right the first time when I said, oops, just when I lost it already.
Well, and sometimes, we obviously, we write a lot of checks, and so some of these, maybe if they're not hugely important, we can probably try and get a hold of Chris outside the meeting and, and then he can look those up and if necessary, make a phone call to track down some of this information when, staff is in the building, because, now we can't do that, so.
Yeah, well, that's so great. I mean, Chris will give you something to do. No, I'm just kidding you. One is 110.60 and the other one's 12.52. I told you wrong on that. I got a little cardboard here to even that up a little bit so I know. I was just kidding about giving you something to do. You got lots to do. I just have lots of time now to be nitpicking. Okay, that's all I have to ask on those.
Okay, and were there any questions for Michelle on the treasurer's report? Okay, thank you, Michelle. Why don't we now go on to other financial business, which is the fiscal 2021 budget.
Thank you.
Well, what I'd like to do is walk you through the attachments that we have. I'm going to put them up on your screens so you don't have to try and struggle and follow along separately. Now, to do that, so does everybody see general fund historic trend Excel sheet on their screens?
Well, I see the top part, but I don't see the bottom part is missing.
On the printed version, all I've got is the top part.
That's correct. And unfortunately, I couldn't just stop working on the budget.
You got that little bit at the top.
At noon on Thursday.
That's the little thing at the top.
That's all we got.
So what I did is I added some additional notes here to help walk you through the most basic overview of the general fund budget. We see I'm comparing 3 different budget years here. At the very top, the actual for 18-19, the amended budget for our current year, 19-20, and then the last column G here is what we're suggesting for the budget for our upcoming year. So you see in the last fiscal year and our current fiscal year, we ran and are expecting to run a deficit. Now, just to remind you, that was because of the money that we decided to put away into the OPEB account with MERS. We decided to go $750,000 each of these years, and that from our savings would cause us to dip into our savings from our budget. Our suggested budget for the current year, we're looking at an $87,000 surplus as it is written. Now, there's one thing that you should know is that none of the union negotiations are worked into this new budget because none of the unions have ratified the agreements, and some of the unions we haven't even talked to yet. So I'm unable to work those in there. But as is continuing our operations, we're looking at a slight surplus. Now, I'm just going to give you some very brief highlights before I go into the department by department. It's a little bit bigger for you. So comparing
That's better.
our current, our suggested budget for the upcoming year to our current operating budget. We're looking at revenues basically flat. We're looking at our general operating millage though, is increasing about $600,000. Now this is due to some of the latest wind farms coming online. Windmill money is taxed as personal property. You'll see a significant.
Hey, just a minute, Chris. I'm lost on where you're at. I don't
You're
have
not
it.
gonna find this information on the print off, unfortunately.
Okay, then.
You're gonna have to follow along on the screen.
Okay.
This is the only information that I have that you do not have, is what you're seeing on this screen. Just this brief, large picture overview of the budget and comparing it to last year. So what you're seeing is despite our general operating millage expected to be approximately 600,000 higher, still our revenues remain flat. They're actually even down a tick. And that is the expectations and what we've actually already seen from the state government decreasing our revenues. Our expenditures, we're looking at a decrease of approximately $700,000. And I'll get into this in a little bit, but that is primarily related to a decrease in the amount that we are projecting to put into our OPEB fund next year compared to this year. Just to show you where our salaries sit at. Last year, our salaries were just over $8 million. This year, next year, they're projected to be about $8.2 million. Also, for your information, our pension fund costs staying relatively flat. These are just from the general fund. And then I'm showing you here at the bottom what our non-salary expenditures are. Less our appropriations to non-Gratiot County entities. An example of that would be the Gratiot County Airport, our Mid-Michigan Health Department, and then less transfers out to Gratiot County non-general fund departments. For example, the retiring of debt, the child care fund, and several others. So when we get down to our bare bones of our non-salary expenditures, we're looking pretty flat. We're down about $130,000 from last year. So this is just the large overview of the major components of what's in the general fund. And the next thing that I'm going to do, if you don't have any specific questions on this, is I'll take you to the department summary.
Chris, could you just later on send me that page there? Because I don't have that.
Well, none of us do. You just made it
I
up.
definitely can.
Okay,
That was just completed probably,
hey,
2
no
o'clock this
problem, yeah.
So here is. Well, it looks like I can go a little bigger on that. Our department by department expenditure comparison for 3 years running. Last fiscal year, the one we're currently in, and what we're requesting for next year. Now, you're not going to see very much difference in here, and my fluctuation explanations are extremely basic. What you're seeing is some expenditures shifting from one department to another due to the way that we are now calculating which departments are required to pay for our pension funding. And as you saw in the last page, that pension funding is a little bit over $1 million. So there's a lot of shifting there. But other than that, most everything is remaining pretty close to the same. And you're going to see a bump in the request. We may have to do some budget amendments once union contracts are ratified. But as is, you can see our subtotal for general government stays relatively flat. 6.5 million, 6.5 million. Public safety stays relatively flat, 3.8, 3.8. Where you do see a large drop is this is our appropriations to other funds and our insurances. And we're seeing large drops due to one of our bonds was paid off in this current fiscal year. There was a jail refinance bond that was costing the general fund $200,000 a year. That was paid off last year, so we no longer have to make that. And like I said, we're dropping from $750,000 contribution to our OPEB this year to next year being a $300,000 contribution, which with both of those contributions, we would then be 100% funded in our OPEB.
How much did you say will, Chris, how much did you say will be in that altogether?
Will be in our OPEB?
Yes.
It's going to be somewhere between 2.3 and 2.4 million.
Okay, 2.3 and. Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. So now what I'd like to do is I'd like to come back up here to the top. And I would like to take any questions that you guys have. Any questions that you have, I can come over and bring up the detailed budget. I can explain how some of this works if you have questions about that, explain how things have moved from one fund to another. Is there anything anybody would like to dig into a little bit more? It's hard to dig in too much because it's so relatively flat this year.
Chris, with that $86,000 in the black, you had the 300,000 funded into OPEB, and that you didn't. The only thing that wasn't funded in there is what we're looking at for contracts, right? In that $87,000, the 300,000 was funded in OPEB in that budget there.
That already takes into effect 300,000 for OPEB. Yes.
Okay, you got that in there. Okay, so really the 80s, all we're looking at, we might have to dip into that is with contracts.
That's our intentions. Yes.
Yeah. Okay. All right.
We also have a $50,000 contingency built in. So that $87,000 surplus includes a $50,000 contingency too.
Okay.
I have a question too.
Yes.
On substance abuse, the $50,780, where do you send that to?
Oh man, Jane, you asked me this. It seems most of every time it comes up in the bills too.
I know.
and it's not something that I deal with very often. We contract with a regional substance abuse certified nonprofit. And their name slips me.
George, does this go up to the mental health department? Because what this money is to do is to fund substance abuse programs.
It goes
in
up
the
to,
county.
it goes up to Sabrina.
Oh, up to Sabrina. Okay.
Yep.
Well, there's also a place in Mount Pleasant. Are we still funding them?
Chris, it's the sheriff. I think it's mid-state, isn't it?
Yes, it is.
Thank
That's
you.
what I was suggesting.
I wanted to say mid-south, but I knew that wasn't it, but I knew I was close.
Where's Mid-State at? Is that the one in Mount Pleasant, Mike?
It's a regional substance abuse organization.
Yeah, do you know where it's at though?
I think it is in Mount Pleasant, but I'm not 100% sure, but it's a regional organization.
Okay, yeah, yes. And that's all we give them is the 50,000, huh?
They get a certain percentage of a fee that the state of Michigan passes down to us.
Okay.
Chris, one thing here, I noticed on the actual 18-19 budget, there's no subtotals or grand total. Is there any reason for that?
No, there isn't.
Okay, because
Aren't they at the top?
well, there's all the breakdown in the different accounts, but then there's no total in the subtotals or in the grand total. It's 13,000,005 something, you know.
Yeah.
There we go. Now we have them.
We can put it up there now. We want to make that larger for us.
Actually,
Yeah.
I think I did the wrong
There you
one.
go. Now drop it down so we can see it. One more down. Oh, you're
Yeah, there it is.
good. Yep. There you go. Done. 13.6, something like.
What's that, 13,
So we've actually,
5?
Any other questions for Chris about the detail from any of the accounts? Again, there's nothing radically different, you know, the big changes, you know, our contribution to OPEB is down. Just, which I think is a prudent move in light of the fact that, you know, it's pretty certain that unless there's some significant, you know, aid bill to the states, and even then there's no guarantee that it'll trickle down to us in the form of revenue sharing, that we're going to be getting less money from the state. And the good news is we're able to still continue to pay it down and stay in the black, so.
I have a question.
Yes.
Hey, Chris, in the middle where it says 2019, 2020 amendment, I looked up last year's, and when you take last year from this year, there's a $61,169 difference. Why would that be?
I would have to see exactly what you're comparing to be able to answer that question.
Yeah, what I did is I went on last year's 2019, 2020, and the numbers were different. There's a difference of 61,000. I just wondered why. Usually you wait till the audit is done, and then you have it. I mean, the audit hasn't been done for 2019, or yes, it has too, hasn't it? Let me think.
No, we're currently in that year right now.
Yeah, that's right. Okay, so it hasn't been done yet. So
Right.
the numbers still would be wrong, wouldn't they?
These numbers, that's our current year numbers are budgeted numbers. our most up-to-date budgeted numbers. They're not our actual.
Okay, because from doing the budget last year to the budget right now, which we're finishing up, we're
Right.
60, what did I say, $61,169 over.
Well, we have made amendments throughout the year though, too. And that would be, that if you're comparing it to what you passed at the beginning of the fiscal year to what I reported here, they would be different because the board, I have brought budget amendments to the board, which have been approved.
Right.
Okay.
And as a matter of is and that's, you know, the way we want to do that is the way that Chris has been having us do that, and that, you know, rather than wait till the end of the year and then have a whole flurry of amendments, you know, it's good if we know that there's going to be expense changes to make those in real time. And that way we as commissioners get a more accurate, you know, picture of our financial position. So, and that's actually relatively small, you know, when you look at the size of our budget, you know, we're obviously doing a pretty good job of projecting what our expenses are going to be, because that's actually not, considering that it's August right now, that, you know, we're almost at the end of our fiscal year. That's not too far off. So.
One more thing, Chris, that total that we now have on the 18-19 budget is, you said 13,655,000. The first page there says the budget actual was 13,348. Is there, it's about almost 300,000 or over 300,000 difference. Do you know what that is? On the first page where you're saying historic trend.
I do know what that is. I pulled this 2000 in the historic trend. I pulled that number from our financial statements. So in the department summary, I pulled that number from our general ledger. The reason those are different is because when the auditors put our financial statements together, they pull some of our expenditures out of the general fund and place them in other places.
Okay.
In other places.
Okay,
So
that
if
makes
I'm
sense.
going, so you do want to see this 13.6 million here, because then when we compare one year's budget to another year's budget, it is 100% apples to apples.
Okay, good.
Very good. Any other questions for Chris?
Hey, Tim, I got an answer for Jan. It's a 21 county consortium, Midstate is, so that would be our portion.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks, Mike.
Yep.
And what they're funded by is the Convention Facility Development Act fees. They get 50% of what the state sends us for that. I don't 100% understand it all, but we get to keep half and they get half for doing this job.
Chris, will we get another peek at this before we adopt it with the adjustments in it? The final.
Yes, sir. I was going to bring it back in 2 weeks along with the special revenue funds and put the entire budget book together. My goal is to have the budget book draft up on the website on Monday. And then Angie will advertise it, that it's available for public view. And what I would like to do is I would like the board to pass the budget on September 1st, the first meeting of the month. If there are any objections or issues with it, that gives us 2 weeks to fix it and still be in compliance with the law.
Yep.
We won't have the TPOAM numbers by then, so you would be perhaps approving an adjustment at that second meeting in September.
So yes, what she's saying is we will immediately have budget amendments due to union contracts. It's just the hand we've been dealt with the dates that our meetings are on, having the first meeting of September on September 1st takes time out of fiscal year so that we can work on this stuff.
Well, and it's not unusual, what is unusual is to have a union negotiation that comes to an agreement in a single meeting. I mean, that's what's unusual. What's not unusual is to have them drag out 6 months into the budget year and then figure it out. So I think we're in good shape in terms of, the amount of information we have. The big question marks, which I think Chris has done a good job of preparing us for and being, fiscally responsible, is we're really uncertain on what the state's going to be given to us. So. Okay, Chris, were you going to go over the capital improvement plan as well?
Yes, I would like to at least open it up to questions. So let me pull that up here real quick. Sorry, I was trying to deal with the sun setting behind me there for a moment. I had all this stuff ready, but then you guys saw that my camera wasn't working very well, and Matt was working very hard in the background to.
You all have it in front of you there because I believe this got distributed.
Right, this is part of your finance packet. And so I just wanted to, and it really isn't necessarily, just Chris's thing, but, there are some fairly big ticket items in there. And so I didn't know if anyone had any questions on those. These have been part of ongoing, deliberations and planning by staff, but in some of these things we have talked about and we're aware of, but I just didn't know if anyone had any questions on those now. No questions on the capital improvement?
Oh, I'm still checking that.
Okay.
Just a second here.
Yeah, I just had one, Tracy, I noticed that, animal control has got 2 trucks staggered, one next year and then one in 2022, 23. Is that about what the age difference is in their vehicles?
Yeah. There are a number of factors that go into vehicle replacement. One is the age of the vehicle, but more than the age, it's the number of miles on it. And so, that can vary quite a bit. Again, the knee bone is connected to the hip bone on this because we have a vehicle rotation. It's pretty elaborate. I think I had thought to put that in the board packet, but I might have forgotten to do that. But yeah, and then it tends to be buildings and grounds that gets the animal control truck. So, but yeah, that's about where we are with mileage and age of their current truck.
Okay, I'm going to have some questions here. I always start from the bottom and go up. I don't know why, but one of the questions that I have real quick is the parking lot replacement. Which one are you talking?
That's for Commission on Aging, precisely which, I think it's just kind of one big parking lot over there. But that comes out of their millage fund, so that's not going to be a general fund expenditure.
Okay. And then I also see here courthouse roof repair. Whereabouts would that be at? What part of the courthouse are you talking?
Well, we have 2 parts of roofing up there. We have some rubber portions and we have some of the slate. I think that the slate is a little more visible to you. Some of the rubber pieces are becoming detached. In fact, if you stand in just the right spot, you could see one kind of flapping in the wind. So, we'd have to stand outside and kind of point, but those are our 2 materials. Let me say that I'm hoping that the slate repair will not cost $200,000, but it's better to guess big than small.
Right.
And that work is going to cost more just because there are very, very few people who do it. And in fact, we have not yet located a vendor. So we're already beginning to kind of look at that project. But so there are two types of materials up there, and that's the quick and dirty answer for you, Jan.
Okay, thank you. And then I would like to have more time to look that part over. And I'll probably have questions at the next
Well, and
meeting.
this will be part of, as Chris pointed out, this will be part of the, kind of what we think of as the budget book that we'll be looking at the first meeting in September. So that's probably a good time. And of course, you can also ask questions. Any of us can ask questions to staff in between the meetings if we, want to know the nitty gritty of stuff. Sometimes it's difficult for, I remember being assistant superintendent and being asked about $66 check snifter bearings, and were those like 1-inch bearings or 1/2-inch bearings? And it's like, I gotta talk to the maintenance guy. I don't know. So sometimes that's a better time during business hours. Is a better time to get your answer to a specific question. But
Okay, one of the questions that I have is, we took out a bond for MERS, and that's been being paid on. Where do I find that in the book here?
It will be a special revenue fund. And what we'll do is we'll fund how much that is in a debt fund, and you'll see what our payment is for 1 year. Now, if you want to know how much that is, give me 1 second here. Let me find my.
You'll be reviewing that at the next meeting, won't you, Chris?
Yes, we will.
And these payments, the initial payment schedule that we were given, has there been much deviation from that?
You can see in the screen, last year was 795,000. This year, 792,000. And this is the spreadsheet that Commissioner Murphy requested that I send him because I hadn't uploaded this to the website.
Oh, okay. So how many years have we been on that bond?
Oh, I think it was a 10-year bond, and our last payment's in 2026. So 2017 was probably our first.
Yep.
We're about 3-4 years of it.
Okay,
Yeah, you were finishing that up just as I began, and I began 4 years ago as of November 1st. So
did we use the full 8.5 million, or we talked about we were going to get 6.5, but they took 8.5 and said whatever they didn't need, they were going to give it back.
that's a question we can't answer as we sit here. The bond was issued for the amount of our unfunded pension liability plus the costs.
Yeah.
And I remember we had to get it done like on a Wednesday so we could get it paid by Thursday so the rate didn't change or something.
And also BOC, what does BOC stand for? Meeting and Conference Room Carpet?
Board of Commissioners.
Board of Commissioners, that's
Oh, you're gonna replace the whole carpet. That'd be nice.
okay. If there's no further questions for Chris, I'll entertain a motion to pay the bills and return to the regular board meeting, adjourn the full board finance committee meeting and return to the regular board meeting for the purpose of paying the bills.
So moved.
Or
Moved and
Ask clerk
supported.
to call the roll.
Commissioner Murphy,
yes.
Commissioner Smith,
Yes.
Commissioner Bunting,
Yes.
Commissioner Lambert,
Yes.
Commissioner Bailey.
Yes. Right, we're back in the full board session, and before we left, I had a K5 and I skipped over it because it was in the margin. And so what we need to do, and Chris talked about that, was we have to set a meeting on the first, set the budget. So we need to pass a resolution to do that. So the resolution would state to set an annual meeting to, for the budget on September 1st at 4:30. So I need a motion to do that.
So moved.
Support.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear that, the whole thing. Can you repeat that, please?
I need a motion
Set the budget hearing.
to set a budget hearing for the 1st of September at 4:30.
Thank you.
Yep. And it's moved and supported. Do we have any other discussion? Hearing none, ask the clerk to call the roll.
Commissioner Smith,
Yes.
Commissioner Bunting,
Yes.
Commissioner Lambert,
Yes.
Commissioner Murphy,
Yes.
Commissioner Bailey,
Yes. Alrighty, thank you. The next thing we need to do is to move into a closed session to discuss union contract for strategy and negotiations.
George, do you want to call for the last public comment before we do that, just in case there is anyone
I
that
could
wants?
do that, and then people wouldn't need to hang around, and we won't conduct any business after we come out of the, we'll just adjourn, so if nobody has any objection, anyone out there want to make a public comment may do so at this time.
Not seeing anybody on the list right now.
Okay, we'll move on then.
I make a motion that we move into a closed session for the purpose of discussing contract negotiations.
Or
Moved, supported. Any discussion? Ask clerk, call the roll.
Commissioner Bunting,
Yes.
Commissioner Lambert,
Yes.
Commissioner Murphy,
yes.
Commissioner Smith,
Yes.
Commissioner Bailey.
Yes. Okay.